Over the years, mobile phones have continued to witness technological advancements, as their importance to today's digital world cannot be overemphasized. This is why today, the most popular phones are smartphones, owned by more than 7 billion humans globally. Despite their similarities, smartphones still differ based on specializations, features, operating systems, and even price. These factors, and many more like luxury and exquisiteness, are why smartphone owners may prefer one to another. Today, I'm going to show you the 10 most expensive smartphones in the world. Before the video begins, please give it a like, and if you want to see more, please subscribe to the channel. Now, let's begin. Number 10. Sony Ericsson Black Diamond. Sony Ericsson isn't a name you're likely to hear bandied about the mobile phone shop these days. But in the early 2000s, they were a common sight on store shelves and in consumer pockets. For a while, they even housed the contemporary version of Sony's famed Walkman technology. In 2006, Sony got in on the premier phone game with the release of the Ericsson Black Diamond. Even by today's standards, the phone is admittedly pretty cool looking. The top half is dominated by a screen, while the bottom half is recessed and reserved for the number keys. The effect is a phone which looks bent at the middle, giving it a simultaneously dated and futuristic look. Otherwise, there's nothing all that special about the phone itself. The specs were pretty standard, and it wasn't made of any precious metals, aside from those you'd find inside any phone of the time. As explained by Trend Hunter, production was limited to only 5 units per year at the time of release. All things considered, the only real value in the phone was its rarity. We're not sure if that justifies its $300,000 cost, but sometimes when you're rich, the price tag is the point. Number 9. Goldfish Revolution. The Revolution by Goldfish would look like any other phone you might have picked up at a mall kiosk in the late 90s or early 2000s, if it weren't for a few key features. Its slim shell was punctuated by an ostentatious analog watch below the push-button keys. That feature feels superfluous considering that the phone's screen undoubtedly displayed the time, just like every cell phone since the beginning of time. But it was there in case you wanted it. The outside edge of the phone, the numbers and symbols on each of its 16 buttons, as well as the central navigation toggle, were encrusted with a total of 29 carats in diamonds. Again, unlimited production was part of the appeal, with only 9 units ever made, each of which was retailed at $490,000. Number 8. Gresso's Luxor Las Vegas Jackpot. If you thought the price tags on the first 2 phones were disgusting, prepare your barf bag because we're about to level up. It was only a matter of time before we hit 7 digits, and we got there with the Luxor Las Vegas Jackpot. Only 3 of these phones were produced, adding the jackpot to the list of exclusive luxury devices. In exchange for $1 million, the buyer was handed a jumbled collection of precious materials which were never meant to share the same space. As explained by GSM Arena, the phone's frame was made of 180 grams of gold and broken by a starburst pattern of tiny black diamonds, a total of 45.5 carats. If that weren't enough, each of its 17 buttons were carved from sapphires and laser etched with their respective numbers and symbols. If you were feeling especially frugal but still wanted to be fancy, Gresso offered a pared-down version of the jackpot, lacking all of the precious gemstones, for a measly $200,000. Number 7. Diamond Crypto Smartphone. If you're the sort of person likely to shop for a 7-figure phone, your primary concern is likely how to acquire even more money. However, what good is an ungodly bank balance if you can't protect it? That's where the Diamond Crypto came in. This phone isn't just a flashy showpiece, though it certainly is that. It also promised to protect all of its wealthy owners' important information. designed by the Russian firm JSC Encourt, and blinged out by Peter Aloysian, famous for sticking diamonds on anything and everything. The crypto promised powerful encryption and security to protect against digital attacks. It also promised to turn every head anytime you pulled it out to make a call. The sides of the phone and its central navigation button were lined with 40 white diamonds and 10 blue ones, which accounted for most of the phone's $1.3 million cost. In a world where cell phones became dated almost the moment you walk out of the store with them, we can't imagine dropping that kind of cash on what is essentially a Windows-based BlackBerry. Number 6. iPhone 3G King's Button. Have you ever wanted to spend $2.5 million on a machine you'll use to look at memes and argue with people on the internet? Silly question, who hasn't? If you'd had that kind of extra cash burning a hole in your pocket in 2009, then there was the perfect phone for you. Peter Aloysian was at it again, one-upping his previous work on the crypto. By this point, the iPhone had arrived on the scene and changed the cell phone game forever. Now, there weren't any number keys to encrust, and it's hard to stick diamonds on a touchscreen. So, Aloysian had to get creative. Number 5. Gold Striker iPhone 3GS Supreme. If you've never heard the name Stuart Hughes, get ready for that to change. Hughes cornered the market on ridiculously over-the-top phones for a while. There was a time when he sat atop a small pile of jewel-encrusted iPhones like a dragon, with a very specific hoarding obsession. Luckily for you, well, probably not you, but the mega-rich, he was willing to part with them for a price. Hughes' first entry on this list was the iPhone 3GS Supreme, which retailed at £1.92 million, a little more than $2.5 million at the time of writing. It's similar both in design and bling factor to the King's Button, but Hughes was just getting started. The phone's shell was made of 22 carats of gold and had a line of 136 diamonds running along its exterior. Like the King's Button, the home key was replaced with a single large diamond, weighing in at 7.1 carats. Number 4. iPhone 4 Diamond Rose Edition. New iPhone, new world's most expensive phone. As the iPhone's design changed slightly, Hughes had to change with it. The iPhone 4 took its screen to the edge, pushing out the favorite home of the smartphone diamonds. Ever the adaptive designer, Hughes moved the diamond collection to the sides and shoved a whole bunch more in there. According to Stuart Hughes, the Diamond Rose had roughly 3 times as many diamonds as its predecessor, clocking in at approximately 500 in total. The back of the phone was made from rose gold, giving the Diamond Rose Edition its name, and the Apple logo sparkled with its own diamond coating. Only 2 Diamond Rose phones were produced, and they sold for £5 million, or approximately $6.5 million. Number 3. iPhone 4S Elite Gold. Stuart Hughes came back with another luxury phone in the shape of the iPhone 4S Elite Gold. The overall design of the 4S Elite is similar to Hughes' previous phones. In terms of functionality, it was just a standard iPhone 4S with 64 gigabytes of internal storage. At least they sprung for the highest internal storage. I mean, if you're paying £6 million, or approximately $7.8 million, you deserve to at least not run out of space for your favorite podcasts. The case of the 4S Elite was made of 24 karat gold, including a gold Apple logo covered in 53 diamonds. The major change from Hughes' previous offerings was the chest it came in. Instead of a piece of cut granite, the 4S Elite came in a platinum box, decorated with rare stones and pieces of cut T-Rex bones, meaning the Elite was a phone 66 million years in the making. Number 2. Honorable mention, iPhone Princess Plus. Prepare for the triumphant return of Peter Aloysian, the mind behind the crypto and King's Button. In 2007, he set his sights on another iPhone and created the Princess Plus. Pre-orders started in October 2007, with delivery set for January of the following year. Unlike the other luxury iPhones on this list, there was no massive diamond replacing the home key, but that's where most of the expense typically came from, which is why you could get your hands on the Princess Plus for the totally reasonable price of $176,000. If that was a little over your phone budget, there was also a version which cut out the Princess Cut diamonds, replacing them with Brilliant Cut, reducing the cost to about $66,000. What a steal! Number 1. Grand Finale: Falcon Supernova iPhone 6 Pink Diamond. We reached peak phone flamboyance in 2014 with the announcement of the Falcon Supernova iPhone. Gone are the gauche piles of hundreds of diamonds tacked to every available surface. This phone was intended for only the classiest of show-offs, the mega rich who want to cosplay as normal until you look closely enough. The Falcon Supernova looked like a normal iPhone from the front, and it mostly was. As explained by CNET, the phone was plated in gold, but you could almost miss that if you didn't know any better. It's not until you flip the phone over that you realize what's really going on. On the back of the phone, you'll find a single diamond so massive you might get pulled into orbit around it. Getting one would cost you $48.5 million, but that's a small price to pay for a phone with a literal infinity stone embedded in its case. It's difficult to imagine how anyone can exceed the cost or extravagance of the Falcon Supernova, but given enough time, we're certain someone will do it. Thank you for watching, and please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and enable post alerts to view more of our future videos. After saying that, keep watching our videos, and I'll speak with you in the next one.